event we shouldn't be looking at. So we're going to talk about that all here tonight. And guys, like I said, we will kind of open this up for a Q&A at the end, especially if you guys have some questions. But what my goal is here tonight is just to give you guys a better sense of, not only what golf coaches look for, college golf coaches look for, when they're evaluating a junior player, but really what you need to be mindful of, how to be successful throughout this process. And, of course, we'll answer any questions that maybe we don't cover in the class at the end as well. Okay? Awesome, guys. So, guys, brief background on myself, especially if by chance maybe I haven't been able to meet you. And, guys, again, this class will be recorded, especially for people who can't make it here tonight. Again, my name is Chris Noble, and I am the head men's and women's golf recruiting coach here at NCSA. Been here for a little over a year and a half. It's been a great experience here so far. Just a great opportunity to kind of give back to golf's next station, if you will, which is great. Brief background, guys, myself, the school I played for college-wise was a school called Holy Cross College, right from Notre Dame in South Bend. When I was there, guys, actually we were actually a participant for the NAI, the Men's Golf National Championship in 2012, two-time NAI Academic All-American, three-time CCAC Chicagoland Collegiate All-Academic team as well. Kind of for my high school junior days, guys, I was actually a four-time recipient, All-State, runner-up in 2011 for the state championship, four-time All-Conference member, and actually my claim to fame for the AJGA, I was actually runner-up that year in 2010 for the Coca-Cola Junior at Boyne Highlands. So, again, just a brief background, guys, kind of on myself, but, part of the reason why I have this class, too, and I kind of include this picture, this was from 2013, actually, my team at Holy Cross, actually a course in South Bend. Again, when it comes to college golf, guys, whether it's going to be guys golf, girls golf, whatever it might be, you guys are going to make relationships. You guys are going to make friendships that are going to last your whole life. And a lot of these guys I actually still keep in touch with, almost on a daily basis and a couple times, I would say a month to talk with. So, just making, again, these friendships, making these relationships that are really going to last your whole life. And that's what it's all about. You guys are going to be part of a brotherhood, part of a sisterhood of a team. So definitely making sure that we're going to be able to find you the right types of programs, and really what my goal is for you guys to, definitely make these types of memories, moving forward as well. So a couple bigger, even one from the 2012 National Championship out in Oregon. So just kind of giving you guys a background on there too. So like I said, again, hopefully for a lot of you, this will definitely be, some opportunities to compete at some national championships, right? So guys, kind of just a quick overview here of what's on the agenda here tonight. What I do want to touch on, also, you guys are all going to be at different stages. Some of you guys might be freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors. So just talk about division levels, kind of what a lot of these coaches look for, especially from a golf standpoint, kind of timeline, especially for my underclassmen in here. So really, guys, when we need to start opening the lines of communication with a lot of these coaches, when they can start contacting you personally. Importance of tournaments. Guys, this is part of the reason why I have this class, and really when it comes to golf, it's a lot different than kind of your mainstream sports, such as, basketball or football or baseball, where a lot of times what you do at the high school level is kind of what gets you recruited. For college, where golf, it's almost the exact opposite. High school golf is good, but unfortunately it just doesn't have that much bearing when it comes to a college coach and what they look for. So, okay, what ones should we be playing in? And really what should we be using to find some of these terms, some resources, for you guys definitely to be using as well. Some of our next steps is really giving you guys a good sense of what we need to be focused on here for this fall, and obviously moving into 2018 as well. Okay, so briefly, guys, just kind of talking about especially some, division breakdowns, team breakdowns, so kind of understanding, especially amount of schools, kind of scholarships awarded and things like that. So let's kind of first of all talk about the, the first, I would say, main four division levels, if you will, overall in terms of NCAA. There's Division I, 2, 3, and then the NAI, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. So really, guys, when it comes to especially the number of schools out there, as you guys can kind of see, obviously with Division I, definitely having the most amount of schools at 320. Kind of, as you work your way down, 255 schools at the D2 level, D3, just a little over 300. NAI level, there's approximately 170 right now, programs out there. So, especially, guys, a question that I get quite a bit is from a scholarship standpoint. So, always asking me, well, is there an opportunity of maybe receiving a full ride? Where it is possible, a lot of times it's not very common, though, and part of the reason why, guys, is, again, with these numbers, these are if the school is fully funded. Division I level, you see I put men and women on here as well. For my ladies in here, great news, ladies. Generally speaking, there's actually more scholarship money available for you than there are for the men. And that's the reason why I always encourage, especially if you have any friends who might be remotely interested in golf, get them involved. There's so many opportunities available, especially at the women's golf level. So 4.5, again, guys, in terms of full scholarships. So, like I said, that's why a lot of times you will see where if there's a team size of, let's just say, 7, 8, 9 people on the team, you'll see that a coach will, generally offer maybe a certain percentage. So maybe a 40%. A scholarship, for a certain player. At the women's level, there's actually 6. Again, if these schools are fully funded, scholarships available. So technically speaking, again, you're generally going to have 5 girls traveling. You're generally, guys, going to see a roster size of a team, whether it's men or women's golf, around 7 to 8 people on the low end, upwards of 10, 12, 15 people high end. So again, that's why a lot of times I say it's very rare to find that full scholarship. Generally, the only time that will happen is if there is a player that the coach is really recruiting, and that means just an absolute star, absolute standout for that team. In terms of Division II, we're at about 3.6 from a men's standpoint, 5.4 full scholarship for women. Now, D3, as you guys are noticing here, the amount of scholarships, keep in mind this is from athletic standpoint. This is not academic. Keep in mind at the D3 level, there are athletic scholarships, right? It's just how the D3 level works. There are scholarships available. However, it's more from an academic, merit-based, even leadership. A lot of times, guys, things you might be involved in through your school, through your church, through your community, kind of those extracurriculars. A lot of times you'll be able to receive some additional scholarship money from that standpoint there, too. Okay. And then at the NAI level, guys, kind of across the board, in terms of scholarship-wise, about 5 for men and then 5 for women. So a lot of times, guys, you will be seeing that scholarship, at least from a golf standpoint, would be a percentage. It might be a partial. Again, so just understanding really the budget constraints and really how much money that these coaches have to work with when it comes to, especially their scholarships, that should probably give you a better idea of really why there's not as many full scholarship opportunities, especially for college golf. So hopefully that's helpful. And even for junior college level here too, guys, in terms of scholarships, there are actually 8. So a lot of times, like I said, the junior college level, obviously the costs are a little less being a 2-year school. And like I said, just the overall cost to go there as well, part of the reason why there's more scholarships available. Okay. And again, the information is kind of found from scholarshipstats.com. And even, guys, kind of for the division, the team breakdowns, and I did try to really lay this out for a men's and women's standpoint. So as you guys, a question that I get quite often is actually what an average athletic scholarship is basically. So the fact that now we understand that a full scholarship is quite rare. Okay, what's an average? So as you guys can kind of see here as well, in terms of women, again, ladies, definitely in the clear here. A lot of times you're going to be receiving more just from an average scholarship standpoint. So Division I, typically this is per year, guys. Keep this in mind as well. Around $15,000 from an athletic standpoint, $16,000 for women. D2, we're looking at about $6,000, around $7,500 for women. D3, again, considering there are scholarships available. Like there will not be, at least from an athletic standpoint, there will not be that amount. NAI around $6,800 for men, $7,200 for women, and then obviously junior college, just a shade under $1,900 for men, and then around $2,300 for women. So the one thing, guys, is to keep in mind this is only an average. Obviously, a lot of times what will kind of determine this will be a coach's need. So if a coach might just be losing one player as opposed to losing four players, for a certain grad year, even his budget constraints, again, just because on that last slide that, like we talked about, even a Division One program, would have 4.5. Again, it's very possible that just because the school may not be fully funded, the coach may not have that budget, so it might be 3.5. It might be, 4 full scholarships. So again, understanding really, what these average scholarships are. A lot of times, guys, a question that I would be asking to these coaches is, even if they were prepared to offer you a scholarship, always asking with some good play, after that first year, if that amount might be able to increase as well. I have seen that in the past, so understanding just because a coach might be prepared to offer you a certain scholarship for that first year, there could be the opportunity of maybe increasing that amount as well. Always understanding that and asking that question, especially after the coach, would kind of give you an idea of that initial year scholarship. Okay. So now, guys, what I'd like to kind of talk about is the idea of this recruiting timeline. And look here, I think I might need to mute everybody who's coming in here as well. Give me 1 second here, guys. I apologize about this. Edison, if you can hear me here, if you can go ahead and mute yourself, just so you don't have any feedback here. Pause here. Guys, hear me? If you can mute yourself, please. Just don't any feedback. Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Where's your microphone? She had a microphone on her computer.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
We just joined in because we didn't have the right page.
That's okay, guys. And the class is being recorded as well, so anything that you might have missed, you'll be able to catch up on a little bit later. I might mute you guys on my end here. Perfect. Okay. Great. Awesome. So, MK, glad you guys can join in. So, we're just kind of getting to recruiting timelines here, and really a question I get, guys, quite a bit is in terms of division levels, D1, D2, 3, NAI. When do a lot of these schools start, recruiting? So your top tier D1s. So what would that kind of entail? That would be like your Illinois, that would be your Alabama, that would be your Georgia, that would be your Florida, your big name schools, right? A lot of times, guys, they will be recruiting 2, if not 3, potentially 4 years out, which is hard to believe. I mean, it really is. But you will actually find a lot of those programs are already done with their 2019s, kind of working their ways to 2020, 2021s already. It's hard to believe, but it's when it comes to the players that they're looking at, the quality is just so high. A lot of times they are getting their verbal commitments a player's junior year. So again, for my 2019s, you're going to find that a lot of these Division I programs are finishing up recruiting, especially by early junior year, kind of getting those verbal commitments from those players. Your mid to low level, generally that's going to be a little bit farther out. That's going to be closer to the winner, of players, especially senior year, I would say on the later end of things. So generally speaking, I would say, guys, your top tier D1s, you're going to be looking at early to mid part of a player's junior year. Kind of your mid to low tier D1s, you're going to be looking at mid junior year to as late as kind of the winner of a player's senior year. Division II, especially your top tier programs, you're going to be getting a lot of those verbal commitments kind of by the end of the summer going into a player's senior year. A lot of your mid to low level D2s, generally they're going to be recruiting kind of actively throughout a player's senior year, and especially with your Division III and NAI programs, guys. So that's the one thing that I will say, especially for a lot of my 2018s in here, you will find that a majority of NAI, D3, and lower level D2 programs will be actively recruiting throughout this year. Now, with that being said, we have to act now in terms of getting on these coaches' radars, kind of opening up the lines of communication with the coaches, but there are a lot of opportunities still available. So that is just to give you guys a better idea, and it's why it's so important to really start as early as possible, especially if you are a Division I or II caliber player. A lot of times, starting your freshman, your sophomore year of at least kind of getting those intro emails out, filling out recruiting questionnaires, it's so important. But like I said, for a lot of your D2, D3 NAI schools, mid part of your junior year to your senior year, that's when a lot of these coaches are going to active with their recruiting. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. And even guys, just giving you some dates. So again, everybody's at a different spot here. So question I get quite a bit though for my underclassmen is, when can especially Division I and II coaches start reaching out to me? So when it comes to a D2 coach, date on that is basically when a D2 coach can proactively start reaching out to you. That would be June 15th following your sophomore year. So basically the summer between your sophomore and your junior year, June 15th following that date, that is when a D2 coach can start personally emailing you, contacting you, sending you information. Do not make a mistake. You can always contact coach before that date, and I always encourage you to, but that is when they can start contacting you personally after that date. Okay. Now, in terms of Division I programs, Division I coaches can begin proactively reaching out to a recruit September 1st of their junior year. Okay, so that's when they can start sending personal emails, in terms of calling a recruit. Now, a question that some of you might be having is saying, now wait a minute, especially with that last graphic, if players are recruiting, or if players are committing to a program, especially a top-tier D1 program, how is that possible if a coach, can only reach out at that point? So it's important, guys, for us to take the proactive approach. So keep in mind, when it comes to recruiting, it's about building relationships with these coaches. So the players that are a lot of times on these D1 schools, they started reaching out to those coaches. Honestly, it could have been as early as 8th grade. It could have been started their freshman or even their sophomore years. So just because a coach is limited on what they can say to you, that does not mean you should be limited on what you're saying to them. So always trying to take the proactive approach, I promise you, that will always be helpful when it comes to recruiting. Okay, and then basically in terms of the sign periods, guys, question I get quite a bit as well. So that's during your senior year. There's 2 periods. The early signing period is always the second Wednesday in November, coming up here shortly through the third Wednesday. It's only a week. Okay, that's for your Division I, Division II programs in terms of when they could sign. And then the regular signing period is the third Wednesday in April through August 1st of a player's senior year, so basically that coming spring. And again, that would be the regular signing period for Division I and II commits. The one thing I'll say, guys, when it comes to Division III schools, considering there are no athletic scholarships available, technically speaking, there are no signing periods. What they actually give is kind of more of a celebratory signing, where, again, you're technically not signing a scholarship or a NLI, a national letter of intent, but you're still celebrating the fact that, hey, you're still going to be part of that team. And then the NAI as well, guys, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, they don't have any arbitrary signing dates. You would actually receive a scholarship, a athletic scholarship at the NAI level, but there are no arbitrary dates and would find at the D1, D2 level for actual signing with the school. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay. And then tournament time, guys. So this is probably what we're talking about the most, especially for this class. So really, guys, tournament experience, it's so crucial. And really why, guys? So the one thing is that a lot of times these college coaches, golf coaches, they evaluate, potential athletes by their tournament performance. So the one thing I say, guys, when it comes to golf, it's objective, right? And a lot of you have probably heard me say this in the past, but the way I say it is, hey, 72 beats 75 and 75 beats 78. So it's a numbers game. And that's why really in terms of the tournaments you're playing, not only high school golf, but, looking at even tournaments like the Hurricane Junior Tour, Golf Week, Top 50, AAGA, American Junior Golf Association, Optimus International, Junior PGA. So it is so crucial that you start looking at these multi-day tournaments because, guys, when it comes to As college golf, generally speaking, you're going to be playing 54 holes. You're going to be playing 36 the first day, live golf, and then you're going to come right back and you're play 18 the second day. So the more tournaments that you guys are able to play in, the better experience you're going to be able to get, and the better resume that you're going to be able to build for coaches. And that's why, guys, these coaches put so much stock in these tournaments in the summer, because when it comes to high school golf, hey, no offense to high school golf, I have a great high school career myself, but unfortunately when it came to what got me recruited, it wasn't my high school play. It was what I was doing in the summer months. Because a lot of times, guys, whether you're a guy or girl golf, doesn't matter. The way the courses are set up are very short. Typically, it's only a single-day event. Typically, it's only 18 holes, sometimes 9. And it's almost comparing apples to oranges when it comes to college golf and high school golf. So that's why these coaches put so much stock in these summer events, because it's proven that they actually set up their courses very similar, if not exact, to what you find at that college level. Okay. Competitive schools, guys, really require competitive tournaments. So your top-tier D1 schools. So anytime that I hear somebody saying, I want to play Division I golf, you need to play in these national events, right? So AJGA, Hurricane Junior Tour, Golf Week, even things like for my golfers in California, JGA&C, for my even golfers in Texas, looking at a lot of your Texas Junior PGA events, even some USGA events, like the qualifier for the U.S. Amateur, the U.S. Junior Am. So they're really looking to see, again, guys, consistent results in major events. One thing that they look at is your junior golf scoreboard ranking. Okay, so when it comes to your junior golf scoreboard ranking, that is also going to be taken into consideration along with your tournament average. Okay, so those are really two things that especially those top-tier D1 schools are going to look at. Smaller schools, guys, so your D2s, 3s, NAI, they're a little bit more flexible kind of with the tournaments that you play in. So if you're playing at more of the local or the state level, they're not there. Of course, they want you to play at the national level. They're not going to be as strict overall with your, really playing in, okay? So giving you guys especially an idea here, some tours, some organizations, some tournaments to be playing in. So, like I mentioned, especially nationally, looking at some USGA events. So, again, even for a lot of you guys, if you have an established handicap and it's low enough, you can do a local qualifier for the U.S. Open. You can do a local qualifier for the U.S. Women's Open. You can do a qualifier for the U.S. Amateur, the U.S. Women's Amateur, U.S. Boys Junior, U.S. Girls Junior. So those look excellent on your tournament resume, okay? The AJGA, American Junior Golf Association, basically, guys, the PGA, the LPGA Tour of Junior Golf, okay? Tiger's been through it. Ricky, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, you name it. They've been through it. It's proven. And again, coaches put a lot of stock, a lot of times 54-hole events with these. One issue that I hear quite a bit from my families is that generally speaking, because you sign up for the AJGA does not mean that you actually get in right away. A lot of you have to earn these stars, you have to earn these exemptions. So the cool thing is, a lot of times, guys, they'll have an 18 qualifier the day before to get in the field, or like the Hurricane Junior Tour, some other tours kind of have partnerships with them. So good play at some other tours, some other levels, actually will be able to get you some exemptions to get in some tournaments. Future Collegiate World Tour is another great one. Golf Week, awesome PGA Junior Series. A lot of you guys, if you just kind of do a quick Google search, PGA Series, even in your state in the summer months, a lot of times you guys will have a nice tournament series, the IJGT, IMG Junior Golf Tour, regional, Hurricane Junior Tour, awesome tour, guys. It's getting bigger by the year. I think they're in over 40 states now. 36-hole events, maybe not quite as big as an AJGA, but nonetheless, still very solid, still looks good on your tournament resume. Premier Junior Golf Tour, top 50. State and local, guys, so check in with your local golf association, check with your pro, check with your club, and again, you can really get a lot of different ideas that are around the around the state, around you locally, just by checking with that your state golf association or with your pro at the course. Okay, so hopefully I'll give you guys again some other ideas of some tournaments to be looking at here, especially for next year. Okay, so guys, the question I get to quite a bit is, what do college coaches look for? And of course, they look for quite a few things, but at the end of the day, guys, they care about the scores you shoot, right? So they want to be able to see that, especially your top tier, your D1, D2 programs, they want to have a finished product, right? They want to have a player who has really been tested, who has been proven at these big events, and has shown the fact that they know how to play and they really know how to score, okay? Good athletes who are comfortable with their swings. One thing I get all the time, guys, is saying, hey, you know what, my swing isn't necessarily where I want it to be, or things like that. Again, guys, you need to have good fundamentals. Yes, you have to have good fundamentals, techniques overall, but at the end of the day, look at somebody like Jim Furyk. I use him all the time. The guy, his swing it's kind of hideous when you look at it, but he shoots 58, the other year. So the one thing is, guys, no matter what your swing looks like, if you can get the job done and if you can be consistent and really be comfortable with it, that's the main thing. Okay. Coaches are also looking for junior golfers who know how to play the game. What do I mean by that? I mean by, guys, players who have good course management. Okay, so a lot of times, guys, what I say for my players is, just because you maybe had a bad day, a lot of times it may not even been from a technical standpoint. It might have just been the way you manage yourself around the course. So continuing to challenge yourself, go out on the course with your instructor, maybe with your friends, with your family. About it. Say, okay, how am I approaching this hole? Where is the best spot to miss? Where is an area that if I miss this shot that I can get up and down 7, 8 out of times, right? So making sure that you really have good course management and a high golf IQ. Okay, that's definitely something that they look for. Really interested in players, guys, who are going to transition smoothly into the college atmosphere. It's not easy. And really, guys, no matter where you go, taking the first few weeks and really getting accustomed. It's going to be the first time for a lot of you that you're going to be on your own. And really learning from, especially some of your teammates there, some of the upperclassmen. So making sure that you're able to make that transition pretty smoothly from not only an academic standpoint, golf standpoint, just an overall culture. So really getting accustomed to the college atmosphere and the environment. Student you are, how you're performing in the classroom, as well within the community. Anytime, guys, you can give back, whether that's maybe through maybe volunteering for a golf clinic, maybe a junior golf clinic, whatever it might be, something through your school, your church, your community. Again, they want to make sure that you're able to give back as well, okay? So those are definitely, I would say, guys, 5 of the top things that really a lot of those college golfers coaches are looking for when it comes to look at a player. And all guys, kind of talking briefly here on especially some other areas of the profile that I think are going to be helpful of getting an idea of what coaches are looking for. So for a lot of you who I've been able to have a coaching session with, we've talked about the idea of those roster openings and those coach requests. So this is under the Find Colleges section of your profile, guys, okay? And I can't stress this enough. So especially with the roster openings and the coach requests, it's basically like an open job listing, if you will, when it comes to these coaches. So sure, these, and even these coach request page, you guys will notice in there that there are a lot of updated schools that have kind of come in over the last month. A lot of times they might say, okay, kind of in this situation, hey, we're done with this grad year, we're moving on to this one. It might also give you an idea of what the coach is looking for from a GPA standpoint, ACT, SAT. So taking a lot of that guesswork out, guys, and understanding, okay, am I meeting very close to meeting, or am I not meeting exactly what that coach might be looking for, basically as a player. So that would also be important to be looking at as well. So utilizing that roster openings, that coach request page, keep in mind these schools change almost on a weekly basis. So really coming in here and taking a look at what these coaches are saying and kind of evaluating yourself, of really where are you stacking up amongst what these coaches are looking for, okay? And one also thing, guys, that I always stress as well is when you're looking at a college, look at the roster, okay, for the team for 2 reasons. First of all, you're going to look at, even the amount of, let's just say you're a senior and you would be looking to come in next year. So you would be looking at the roster to kind of look at, okay, how many players is this coach really going to be losing? So if we're looking at this roster here, from what I'm seeing on my end, all things else kind of remaining the same, the coach would be losing about 2 players. Okay, so in my mind, the coach would be looking, if he wants to, keep the roster size the same, he's not losing other players, he's probably going to be looking to bring in 2 players. Okay, cool. Now, another thing that I would be looking at as well is where the players are from. So I'm an international player, and I would be looking at this school. I would actually be pretty happy because I'd say, okay, he has a player from the UK, he has a player from South Africa. That's it. You will notice, guys, as you continue with this, that some coaches might have a bias. They might have a bias in terms of location of the country. They might have a bias that they like international players, maybe don't like international players. So just looking at the roster for that year and maybe the past few years will be helpful of not only understanding how many players the coach might be losing, how many he's looking to bring in, but also where they do a lot of their recruiting from, especially from a location standpoint. Okay. Something that would probably be just as important too, guys, is also looking at a player's background. So this is actually a bio of a friend of mine who actually played for Grand Valley State, a D2 program. So a lot of times, guys, when you are looking at a player's bio, so on that last page, you can actually click on the player's name, and it's going to bring it up. So it's going to give you an idea of not only what they've done kind of from a college standpoint, kind of what they've been averaging, what they've been doing, and also what they've been doing in high school. So that's going to give you an idea of saying, okay, have I accomplished some of these feats that this player has? Where's my game compared to where his was in high school? Kind of seeing what they're accomplishing throughout their college years. One thing, guys, that I'll always say as well is when it comes to especially college golf, let's just say a player's averaging 76, and right now where you are, you're averaging 76. Be careful when it comes to you comparing yourself to that player, because the one thing you have to keep in mind, a lot of times schools, these players will be playing from from yardages that are longer, courses that maybe are a little bit tougher than you're playing right now. So be a bit cautious when it comes to evaluating yourself to a player in college, because a lot of times, guys, statistics have shown, I can speak to this as well, average might go up a few strokes, especially after that first year, kind of that overall transition, because it's just tougher. You're playing on tougher courses, you're playing on longer yardages, so anything, you should be looking for maybe players who have maybe a few strokes higher, I would say, average than you right now, and that would probably be a better way to kind of compare yourself to that player in college. But again, overall, utilizing the roster, looking at the backgrounds of these players, I think that's really going to be helpful for you guys, kind of giving you a kind of a comparison to where you're at for some of these players as well. Now, another thing, guys, I'm really big on is filling out recruiting questionnaires. So the great thing is, for a lot of you, when you are actually searching a school on the NCSA page, you will actually see the recruiting questionnaire directly linked to our page, but you might have to do a quick Google search. If you go to schools page, you'll see basically, like we're kind of showing here, athletic questionnaire recruits. It's an easy way to kind of get on the coach's radar. What I always suggest, especially my underclassmen, if they are looking at kind of getting on a coach's radar, my freshmen, my sophomores, filling out a recruiting questionnaire, and maybe a few days following that, following up with the coach in a personal email. Recruiting questionnaire a lot of times is going to have specific information that might be looking for from that player, so it's an easy way for them to really start a file overall. Okay, so again, recruiting questionnaires, I would say, be the first step for a lot of you guys to be filling out for a certain school. But as soon as you do that, I would encourage you to then follow up with those coaches in your own personal emails as well. Okay, so guys, some resources for you as well. Junior Golf Scoreboard, really big on this. Some great links for college recruiting questions. There's actually a lot of former Division I, II, III NAI coaches who actually have Q&As on there. I love it myself. I use it quite a bit, when I'm communicating with my golfers. There's also a great tournament search engine feature. So actually, when you go to juniorgolfscoreboard.com, you guys will notice there's a tournament section where you can actually type in the state, you can type in the year, you can type in for the month, and actually get an idea of 36, 54 holes, those multi-day tournaments that would be held around your area. So an easy way to get a good, better sense of tournaments that might be nearby you guys as well. And just kind of showcasing here, again, these archives, you guys will see kind of, again, these questions from, former coaches. Okay, how can you learn from, college golf's postseason championships? How do college golf coaches compare to junior golf scores? How do I know what schools are the best fits for me? So, again, different perspectives, but nonetheless, very helpful information to be looking at. So we look at Junior Golf Scoreboard not only for these kind of recruiting questions, kind of answers to some of these most asked questions, but also from a tournament search engine standpoint as well. Okay. A few other resources too, guys. Actually, American Junior Golf Association, AJGA, they actually have a lot of great recruiting tips and ideas for tournaments to compete in as well. So again, utilizing especially that source for each wide, say Junior Golf Scoreboard and AJGA, those are probably two of the most prevalent, probably two of the most helpful. So they can be really, really beneficial of just getting some different perspectives and also other ideas of tournaments to be playing as well. Okay, so next steps here, guys. So especially for some of my newer golf families, okay, if you guys are fairly new to NCSA, our next step is the profile. Think of your profile as your golf resume. So before we start communicating to any coaches, we have to fill this out. We have to get our transcript in, kind of get our GPA, tournament schedule, results, especially guys in that events section of your profile. I'm really big on it. Trying to include, again, tournaments that you played in. So if you ever include your tournament average on the profile, don't only just include the average, but include events that you're getting it from. So you're adding some credibility. You're adding some detail around where that score is coming from. Videos, so again, especially for a lot of my families up north, hey, before the weather takes too big of a turn on us, still got some great weather here, hopefully for the next month or so, maybe longer, but let's definitely get out to the range, let's get out to the course. Let's get some footage. Let's get that over to our team, to our video team. Average, again, statistics. So basically, guys, that stats page, getting your tournament average in, getting your junior golf scoreboard in. If you have a handicap, selecting your preferences. Again, on that preferences page, guys, the more specific that you're really going to be able to be in there, the more that we're going to be able to help you when it comes to kind of building these target lists, these match percentage schools, and making sure that we're really focusing on the best for you overall. In terms of research here, guys, checking out rosters, stats for a lot of these teams that you're interested in, kind of reaching out to any of these schools that maybe you filled out some recruiting questionnaires for, kind of getting some of those personal emails across. One insider tip here, guys, the one thing I want you to remember is, generally speaking, fall and spring are two of the most busiest seasons when it comes to college golf coaches in their season. So taking a minute and looking at their schedule, making sure that when you do reach out to a coach, you're not doing so when they would be at a tournament or traveling for a tournament. You always want to make sure that they're in their office or hopefully on campus. So you're most aggressive with your communication in the summer and the winter months, saying not to reach out to kind of in the fall and the spring, but just be more mindful of when you are sending your communication and realizing you might see a bit of a downturn just because these coaches are busier. And also, guys, if you're looking at going any visits this fall, if you're looking on kind of, touring any campuses, if you're able to kind of get with the coach, meet with the team, talk with the team members. Again, they're going to give you the most unbiased, kind of in-depth approach overall of what the day in and day out might be like at that school. And really, guys, like I said, remember that, hey, the school that played for you, it's your choice. So the more info, the more homework you do now on a program, emails, phone calls, camp visits with these coaches, really the better informed decision that you're going to be able to make. So like I said, just trying to do our due diligence, trying to do our homework, it's really going to pay off for you guys in the long run. I can absolutely promise you that. Remember, utilizing something like the NCSA University tab, similar to what you guys signed up for the Golf 101 class. We have classes on calling coaches, visits, emailing coaches, building relationships with them. So that can be very, very helpful as well. So guys, again, for a lot of you, again, feel free to always reach out to me. For a lot of you, I am your head recruiting coach. I'm here to help you as much as I can. Again, we're all here, not only myself, but our team of recruiting coaches. So we're always here to help you guys no matter what, really focused on getting you to that next level. And really, guys, again, I know I went a little bit over here tonight, and what I'd like to do now is kind of open this up for you guys for some questions. So I know we took about I think 40 minutes there, which is totally fine for the for the overall PowerPoint. But what I'd like to do now is kind of open it up for you guys. If there's anything that maybe we covered, maybe we haven't covered that you had some questions on, but I do hope that some of this information was helpful here tonight, and hopefully maybe you guys learned a few things that you weren't familiar with previously. So thank you for your time, first of all, and feel free to use that chat box here, guys, to type in any questions or anything that you'd like to discuss here before we let you go here tonight. But time. Hope some of the info was helpful, though. Who's got the first question here? Okay, might have one from Addison here. Let's see. As you raised your hand, here. And guys, no bad questions. Anything, can be golf-wise, can be recruiting-wise, anything you want to ask. Here we go. Awesome. And Addison, feel free to type that in the chat box there, please. Question from Ryder. Okay. Ryder is a junior, and he's just starting out in terms of his recruiting. Is it too late to go to a D1? Well, let's talk about that, Ryder. So, first thing about that, I will say it's difficult for me to really say too much on that, especially I would love to kind of see your scoring average, things like that, but let's just talk about kind of from like a high level overview, okay? The future in your junior year, do I believe that all Division I schools don't really have an opportunity? No, I would never say that, but what I would say is a lot of these schools, time is of the essence. So if that's your end goal, okay, in terms of really, let's just talk about golf-wise of some areas that I think that really you would have to be a good candidate for a Division I school. So from a standpoint, generally from a tournament average, I would say a 75 tournament average or below. Even remember I talked about junior golf scoreboard ranking, so hopefully you are on there. And even if you are, a lot of times being in the top 1,000 or the top 1,500 overall for men's golf will be kind of a baseline that a lot of coaches use. Part of the reason why I say that is when it comes to D1 golf, Ryder, there's approximately 300 men's golf Division I schools. Okay, let's just say that every school is recruiting 3 players. Not saying they are, but just to make it an even number. That puts us at about 900 people, right? So that's why I say if you're in the top 1,000, top 1,500 overall on junior golf scoreboard, you're kind of in the pocket. Now, let's just say that you do meet that, or even if you don't, the most important thing for you to do, Ryder, would be to start researching some of these schools, putting together some of the intro emails to these coaches, trying to fill out some of these recruiting questionnaires. Even if you have any tournaments here this fall, try to send updates on your recent tournaments, sending them your schedule for next spring, for next summer. So is late? Not necessarily, but what I'd say is what you would have to do is really stand out amongst a lot of the other players that these coaches probably have already been looking at over the past year. So really having a solid golf resume behind your name, some of those criteria that I was just talking about, as well as really being as aggressive as possible with a lot of these coaches, kind of filling out these recruiting questionnaires, sending these emails, these follow-ups, even trying to call the coach every now and again in their office, try to ask them some questions, learning more about their team. That would really be the overall focus of what you would have to do to explore if any D1 programs would really be available for you. One thing that I will say, Ryder, is especially when it comes to golf, bud, I understand that for everybody, D1 golf is the end goal. I understand that, but don't get so caught up in the division level. Rather, trying to find the school that's going to be the best fit for you. Because golf-wise, I will say, guys, there are numerous D3, NAI, junior college programs out there that on paper are better than some D1 schools, and that's just a fact. So don't just be so caught up in saying, I have to target a D1 school. Rather, okay, I will reach out to some D1 schools, especially if it's a higher match percentage for me, a good fit for me overall. But at the same time, trying to look at D2, 3, NAI, it's more about finding that overall fit for you. I hope that's helpful. Maybe exactly what you're looking for, but like I said, the main thing is if you were definitely looking at a D1 school, we have to open up the lines of communication now. We cannot wait. It's good. I hope it helps. That helps. Question, Lila. Okay, Lila is a freshman. Awesome. When is it a good time to start emailing? It's a good question. Well, Lila, in your case, again, if you're a freshman, what I would say is, I don't know if there's necessarily, well, like we talked about a moment ago, the best time to email a coach, especially golf-wise, is in the winter and the summer, okay? Because a lot of times they're not as busy, right? Because they're not playing, they're not traveling, they're not practicing nearly as much. What I would definitely suggest for you is, Lila, build your profile. You haven't already, so again, getting that as close to 100% as you possibly can. Looking at maybe some schools that might be a higher match percentage for you, maybe some schools that are a favorite of yours, starting with those recruiting questionnaires. Remember what we talked about. So recruiting questionnaires would be your first step. After you fill some of those out, maybe following up with some of the coaches in your own personal email. And really, the great thing is with you being a freshman, what a coach is going to be looking for is looking at you today, October 9, 2017, and then they're going to be looking at you 2 months from now, 4 months from now, 6 months from now, 8 months from now. So the great thing is you have time with this. So the quicker you can get on these coaches' radar, the better, but also at the same time, don't feel that you have to email, 40 or 50 schools right off the bat. So setting a goal and saying, all right, this week I'm going to reach out to 2 schools. Next week I'm going to reach to these 2 schools, so on and so on. So that way, over time, you're really going to be able to cast a very wide net, and ultimately that's going to provide you with just more opportunities overall. That's helpful, and really, Lila, overall, what I say email-wise, if your profile is not built, let's sure we do that first. Start with recruiting questionnaires to the coaches, and then after you're able to kind of get that recruiting questionnaire, I would follow up with them in a personal email. Try to be your most aggressive with emails here this winter, even next summer. But honestly, Lila, even if you wanted to start emailing a coach, if everything's complete on your profile tomorrow, honestly, I wouldn't say that's a bad idea at all. Never early, never too early. It's a good question, though. Question from Madison. Do D3 schools not offer athletic scholarships? That is correct. Absolutely. Lila, glad to help. D schools, Addison, do not offer athletic scholarships. That is absolutely correct. What they do offer, okay, they do offer scholarships, but it's from an academic, merit-based, even leadership. So based on really your GPA, based on your test scores, things you might be involved in, extracurricularly, that is where the scholarship money is coming from. What the 3 level really tries to do is try to find that balance between athletics and academics. So it's really part of the reason, and that's what the D3 level is called. It's called for the love of the game, because again, technically you're not receiving an athletic scholarship, but nonetheless you are receiving scholarship. It's from a different form. So they are much bigger on what you do in the classroom. So obviously a lot of these D3 schools are very highly regarded academically. So, if you are a strong, highly academic student, a lot of times that's going to equivalent into a pretty nice scholarship package for you, especially from an academic standpoint. Okay. And I know you had a question here. Is it too late for me as a junior female to play D2? No, not at all. Absolutely not, as. No, I would definitely say you being a junior, a lot of times your D2 programs will be actively recruiting throughout a player's junior to the beginning of their senior year. D3 NAI guys generally are throughout a player's senior year. So what I say for you, Addison, is the same thing that I really said for Ryder, is it's going to be crucial for us to start getting on the radar, especially looking at, again, pro-wise, filling that out, kind of getting, again, filling out some of those recruiting questionnaires, getting some of the emails out to these coaches. One insider tip here, guys, I will provide for you. When it comes to emailing a school, try to always email the head coach and the assistant coach. A lot of times, guys, the head coach may not have as much to do with the preliminary recruiting matters as the assistant coach might, so you don't have to change the email. All you have to do is basically just change the name of the coach that you're contacting. So try to contact every coach on staff for that school. What I will suggest too, guys, for a lot of you, it will happen that you're sending an email to a coach and they might open it, they may not open it, and they just won't get back to you, okay? Don't take one unanswered or unopened email as no interest. It's a different story if you're reaching out 4, 5, 6 times and you're still hearing nothing back. Okay, that's probably our indication to move on. But if you just contacting them one time and we hear nothing back, following up with them after a 2-week period, especially preferably with a phone call, it's why definitely guys look into signing up for that Coach Communication 301 class. I think that would really be helpful and an easy way to stay persistent with them as well. Yes, I know that was a really long answer to your question, but I hope helpful. If, let me know, and I'm more than happy to kind of provide some more detail around that. Other questions, guys? Any other questions here? Awesome. You're welcome. You're welcome. If no more questions, guys, that's fine. And like I said, I mean, what I would definitely suggest for a lot of you is, especially for some of our newer members, like I said, profile guys, it's huge, filling that out, making sure that everything is updated. And again, for a lot of you, if if you're looking at some other recruiting classes, maybe to sign up for, might I suggest our Coach Communication 101 class, which actually deals specifically with emails. Okay, so that's going to help you out with the email, kind of what to be saying, how to be saying it, things like that. We do have a 201 class that deals with building relationships with coaches. We have a 301 that deals with phone calls, and a 401 that deals with visits. So those would all be helpful for you guys. And just keep in mind, guys, again, not only with myself, but our whole recruiting coach team here. We're here for you guys 7 days a week. Anytime you have a question, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to our recruiting coach team. We're here to help. Guys, we're a really successful fall season here. For a lot of you who are in your high school season, if you guys are at districts, regional, state, best of luck here. And again, keep up the great work. Keep up the momentum. Wish you guys nothing but the best here this fall. And a lot of you are looking forward to getting together with you in a coaching session here, especially in the near future. So, guys, thanks for your time this evening. Hope you have a great night. And again, looking forward to connecting with a lot of you very soon. Thanks much.